Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Chicken Box. If you've never tuned in before, I'm your host, Impeccable, and my co-host, Courtney Alexander. How are you this morning? I'm just gonna
I'm
speak to you first.
I'm
Well, I speak.
grateful.
Well,
I'm blessed to be here. How are
I
you?
love how you always say you're grateful. Some people wake up and they don't even think about being grateful. That's really a good place to be. This is Black people versus swimming today, y'all. That's right, swimming. Do we swim? Have we ever swum? Do you know how to swim? Are you scared of water? Is it something that you don't think about, or have you thought about, or has your whole family been able to swim, or has your whole family not been able to swim? Did you break the swim curse? We don't know, but we've heard so many rumors about Black people and swimming. We're scared of water. I mean, all of these rumors and these myths have existed for years. But before we get started, this is the Chicken Box. If you're from Baltimore, you know a chicken box is four wings, fries, salt, pepper, ketchup, a nice little treat. If it's lunchtime where you are or you're hungry, you could probably smell that fried chicken right now. Can you smell it? I can actually smell it. But here, powered by the Afro American newspaper, yes, Maryland's oldest Black business, 130 years of informing, inspiring, and educating African Americans, not only in the Baltimore, Washington area, but all over the world now with the internet. Thank you for tuning in, y'all. This is going to be a good show. The holiday is coming. Who's going to get swimming lessons over the Christmas break? They're like, are you crazy? Unless you're in a warm place. People are like, they're not thinking about getting in the pool. But then there's others, like my dad, who might go swimming every day because it's an indoor facility and he loves it for the exercise and on his knees. So as we get started, you'll get a chance to get on the chicken box and speak your truth. It's a lot going on in the world, and we just want to take a minute to talk about Black people versus women. We don't have to say the same old news and the same old narratives that we hear all the time. We have a special guest who did some special things that we're going to introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Lucina Fisher, to the Chicken Box. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am great. Thank you, Impeccable and Courtney, for having me here.
Welcome to the Chicken Box. Before we get started, Courtney, give us just a few, wonderful accolades about our guest, and then we'll let her tell you our story as we journey into some of the swimming lessons and, I guess, pictures and films for African Americans. Go ahead, Courtney.
Sure thing. Lucina Fisher is an award-winning director, producer, and writer whose work is at the intersection of race, gender, and identity. Her feature directional debut, Mama Gloria, is a 2022 GLAD Media Award nominee, and it won numerous festival jury awards, and its broadcast debut on World Channel and PBS.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Chicken Box. Everybody, put your hands together and give Lucina a warm welcome. Uh, Thank you for taking some time to share with us. What is on your plate during this season?
Some chicken and some turkey, maybe. So many things. It's been a very busy year. Team Dream is the latest film that I did this year that's launching, but I started the year with a project for Tommy Hilfiger, a doc series about Black and BIPOC designers competing for a chance to design a collection with Tommy. And then I finished a doc feature that will be out next year. And then Team Dream launched at the Chicago International Film Festival in October, where we won the Audience Choice Award for Best Short Film. And prior to that, we had a special screening in Martha's Vineyard for the African American Film Festival there and received a standing ovation. So it's been just momentous seeing the response that we're getting from audiences to this film. It has qualified for Oscar consideration, so voting ends today, and we're hoping to make that short list. That would make my Christmas. Dream come true.
Absolutely. So you said a short list. So where can we vote Um, I'm trying to pull up the trailer. Let me see if we can watch the trailer. This is Black People versus Women. If you just tuned in, tell us a little bit about Team Dream before we show this little clip.
Yeah, so Team Dream is about two amazing women of a certain age, Anne and Madeline, who are friends and competitive swimmers. And it's following their journey to the National Senior Games, where people
What?
from
The National Senior Games. Have you guys heard of it? Thank you for bringing it. Bring us up to speed. I didn't even know National Senior Games existed. Who knew?
me too. I mean, I'm ready to compete after watching them, and so many inspiring seniors in all kinds of events. I don't even know how many events there are at the games. You have everything from pickleball to basketball to swimming. And these are people over 50 who compete from every state um, in the country. And many of them have qualified to be there at their state games. And Madeline and Anne are two of those people. They are from Chicago. They compete only in the swim events. And they qualify in Illinois, Iowa, neighboring states. They win a lot of medals. These women love to win medals. And it's so inspiring. I mean, you get gold, silver, bronze. It's just like the Olympics. And so, Team Dream, we had, the beautiful honor of following them on this journey. And it's just been amazing. So yeah, you're going to see the clip that is introducing Anne and Madeline.
Let's watch this clip and see.
Every place I go in the world, I look for the water. There's something exciting about being on top of the water as an athlete. What I love about swimming is you're actually competing with yourself.
I'm very competitive. Growing up, I was very physical, but it was not something that anybody told me, you could be an athlete. Black people can't swim. I don't buy that. I come from a history of swimmers.
I am Ann Smith, and I am 82.
I am Madeline Murphy Rabb, 76 years young. We're training for the National Senior Games.
Boom. We're training for the National Senior Games, everybody. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Swimming. Man, them ladies are doing it. I can't even remember when I got in the pool last.
But I love hearing that your dad is a swimmer. That's terrific.
Yeah, he is. He goes to the gym every day at the same time, 10 o'clock to 2. I'm like, you are there, man. I'm getting in shape just thinking about what he's doing. But maybe
I wish it worked that way.
Right. Swimming is can we get can we get in shape through swimming, through osmosis? I wonder. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Swimming. We have Lucina Fisher. And that looks like a beautiful documentary. I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but hopefully, where can we watch? Can we vote? I mean, where do we go to vote?
Let's make all of you Academy members.
Oh, you have to be an Academy member.
You have to be a member of the Academy, unfortunately. But at some point next year, early next year, the film will be on BET. And so audiences everywhere will have a chance to see Team Dream. And we're really excited about that. Part of this project has been working with Queen Latifah. She is the executive producer of Team Dream, and she's the founder of the Queen Collective, which is an initiative, a collaboration, a partnership with Procter & Gamble and Tribeca Studios and Queen Latifah's company to really widen the lens of what we see of Black folk on screen. So yeah, we're talking about Blacks versus swimming. If we don't see Black people swimming, how do we know that we can do that? And so Team Dream is in part about telling the forgotten stories of Africans and swimming, that we have a long history and heritage as people of the African diaspora with the water. We were once master swimmers with tribes that lived on the water and made their living doing that. So to know that we once had that history, and maybe that history got interrupted in part by Jim Crow, slavery for sure. And, you know, the pools that we once had in our communities and access to, and bodies of water, beaches that were forbidden because they were segregated. All of that has impacted where we are today with swimming.
Let's talk about that, Courtney. When you heard that we were doing Black people versus swimming, what was the first thing that popped up in your mind?
Ooh, I'm gonna be honest. Kind of that stereotype, because we hear it like all the time. I guess like people just assume like, oh, you're Black, like you aren't a skilled swimmer. So I definitely thought about that. I'm like, during this conversation, we're definitely going to address that there is that stereotype, and like ways that we can like dispel that. Like why is that so prevalent, I guess? Like why is that the first thing that people think? I guess it's not right.
Can you swim, Courtney?
Yeah, but I didn't learn how to swim until I was 19. I kind of learned because I literally like got thrown in there in like the deep end, and then I had to come back up. And then after that, I was like, oh, wow, I can do this. But because of that stereotype, I was kind of like shying away from it.
Absolutely. They call it a blackophobia is what I've heard online, and that's aqua with, and it's black in front of it, and it's a phobia, you know, which is a fear that has existed. And Lucina, you touched on a few things, like not access to pools, right, or beaches. And you said back in the Jim Crow days, they used to pretty much forbid people from swimming. They said we had diseases, we were infectious, we were over sexual. They had all kinds of reasons. They used to pour ammonia and bleach and all kinds of things in the water to deter us from getting in the pools. I mean, because the public pools in our neighborhood probably were the first things in the hood that you had access to seeing the pool. Did you guys have public pools where you grew up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm trying to think. I do remember there was a public pool, but like you, Courtney, my first real experience with swim lessons was not until college, and I was 19 or 20. Yeah, yeah. And it's just crazy, but I was so grateful that our college did require us to learn how to swim, that to pass a swim test was a prerequisite to getting your degree. And if not for that, I don't know that I would have pushed myself to take those lessons.
Absolutely. And I like what David said. David said Black people have the capability. Of course, we know that Black people can do anything they put their minds to, but it's the resources. Okay, I know. And I don't know if it's, you know, did you not go in the pool? Can your parents swim, Courtney?
I know my mom said that she can, but she's not confident with like going in deep water. But my dad, I've never seen this man go to the pool, go in the pool.
So a lot of that might be, you know, like in the household you growing up. And, you know, at 5, they took me to the YMCA, and I had swimming lessons. So at 5, I was on the, for those who had it, you hold on to the side at first and you kick it, you flutter, and you gotta kick those legs, I don't know how long you kicked them, but you kick. Then they throw you this little foam little board, and they say kick on that, and like you said, Courtney, you went underwater, and a lot of times you're scared about going underwater. But if you notice, babies, I'm jumping from my story to babies. If you put them in the water, they naturally will hold their breath. And a lot of people who are swimmers have their children in the water at an early age to just kind of get them comfortable to it, And then sometimes, like you said, your mom didn't want to go out the deep end. People's fear of the water is so bad. You're just like, stand up. Just okay, stand up. You okay? Oh, okay, I'm good. I don't have to swim. Just stand up, okay? Right before you think you're gonna, it's all over and it's gonna end. Just stand up. That's why they start you a lot of times learning how to kick in the shallow end, so that 3 feet, and typically you can handle it. If you just get in the water, just move around in the water. If you parents who haven't learned how to swim, you might want to bucket list it. It might not be your thing, but maybe you and the kids at the same time can take a family swimming lesson. I encourage you to learn how to swim and to get into it. Let's see, we have a comment. Oh, you were bougie, huh? We had a pool in our backyard. And
That's
swimming was
great.
a large part of our childhood. This is my wife. I'm sorry. I call her bougie anyway. Yeah.
Oh, you know her.
We had a pool, look, and as a teenager, it was a priority to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Because you'll get around sometimes bodies of water, and a lot of accidents happen around pools and bodies of water, especially people who can't swim. Lucina, what did you find as you were making this team dream? I know it's about this, this is a wonderful senior story. It just shows you how life never ends until you decide to just stop. So you can keep going. This is an 86 and a 72 year, or what is it?
82, although Anne has turned 83, and she's in Jordan, the country, right now. Otherwise, she might be here
in
with
the Holy Land, huh? Okay. I think
know.
Madeline is trying to get on.
We're trying to get Madeline on, who is a Baltimore native and grew up in a swim family. And I know she would love to talk more about that because her family, has this wonderful history of swimming and social justice. And when you think about how Black people have been denied access to swimming pools, to lessons, to bodies of water, how they've been denied even the knowledge of their own stories and histories. And you realize that, I can learn to swim at any age. I can compete as a swimmer at any age. When you put those things together, swimming becomes an act of social justice, right? As a Black person,
right.
To be Black and swimming is an act of social justice. And I know of somebody anecdotally who, during the pandemic, installed a pool in her backyard as an act of social justice after the killing of George Floyd. She was like, I am going to learn to swim because, for too long, Black people have been denied that opportunity. And I'm going to change that. And so, you do see a lot of parents who don't know how to swim, who are encouraging their kids to swim, or are giving them swim lessons as young people, because they don't want them to end up in the same situation they did. And as we know, swimming really is the only sport that will save your life. So, when you think about the percentage of drownings each year among the Black community and among Black children specifically, that demographic is most likely to experience drownings. And so swimming then really becomes imperative.
Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, you guys chime in if you taught your kids to swim, if you're listening, and this might be a good Christmas present as well. Have we lost you, Lucian? You.
We have a special guest at home, so I'm just moving.
I know you're like, I'm on camera. Wait a minute. The funny thing is, you turned your camera off, but you were still you didn't turn your mic off. And so that's the good thing.
Whoops.
That's the good thing about being live. We are live here. This is the Chicken Box. We're talking about Black people versus swimming. We have award-winning director, producer, and writer of the new documentary that's up for an Academy Award. Is it Academy Award?
It is an Academy
Award.
Up for consideration, we should say. It's being considered.
Guess what? We're going to give it the Black Award. We need another word than Academy.
Yeah, we do need Academy. We need a Black Award.
We need to just step off of their whole thing. I'm tired of we're always trying to do something for their standards. It becomes stupid after a while. Like you haven't made it until you've gotten this quote unquote okay from the others. We'll just call them the others today, just for a while, and that gets to be really tiring in our community. So let's come up with our own film awards. I guess we have the Image Awards, and we have some other great awards that touch on it, but none for just film, I think. And I think if Denzel and some of these Oprah and some of these other power players could just get beyond themselves for half a second and say, hey, this is very important that we just recognize our own. They have the Black Oscars, things that they have where they gather and have a dinner the night before, but it would be wonderful to see all of the documentaries and the short films. So we have a lot of talented filmmakers in today, especially with technology allowing you to make a whole film on your smartphone that can even be interesting. You can even mic up pretty good mobily and do a whole lot of wonderful things. But swimming, Lucina, when did you learn to swim?
Oh my gosh. Well, I did not have a good experience my first time in the water. I mean, I was excited, I think, as kids naturally are, right? To get in the water here's
There's our swimmer. She made it. She swam onto the stream, y'all.
I did. Listen, talk about determined. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We were just in the middle of Lucina's swim story. But okay. Everybody, welcome Madeline, one of our stars of Team Dream, to the Afro Chicken Box today. And we are having a wonderful conversation about Black people versus swimming. So Lucina, you finished. And then Madeline, we're going to jump right in with our wonderful star, not only in the pool, but on camera.
I know. She's so glamorous. Yeah, I did not have a good first experience in the water. Even though I was so excited to get in, I think, naturally, young kids are drawn to the water because we come from water, right? And but I went out to that deep end with a cousin who then left me out there, and I went under. And I mean, you can imagine, floundering, having to be pulled out, and just the fear then that resides in you physically whenever you think about going into the water. And so it really was until I went to college that I tried to tackle that fear. and through a swim class where, to pass the swim test, you really had to just get across the pool once and then stay in the water for 5 minutes, however you could do that. But just, I just remember each milestone, being so proud of myself. Like that first time, you jumped into the deep end and you popped right back up. And it was like, wow, I can actually float. I can do all of these things, and I can learn strokes that will keep me afloat, that will propel me across the water. That was so remarkable to me. Now, Madeline and Anne are at a whole other level, but even they, talk about, the need for, renewed lessons and coaching.
Oh, yeah.
When you start swimming at a certain level. And so I do love that swimming is something that you can do for the rest of your life, really.
Absolutely. So everybody, give it up out there digitally with a digital hand clap for one of the co-stars of Team Dream, Madeline Murphy Rabb. Welcome to the Chicken Box. We are talking about Black people versus swimming and our swimming experiences. We're glad that you swim onto the stream today.
Yes. A great pun.
So let's start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then how you decided to compete as a swimmer in your better years.
Well, you know what? I have reinvented myself so many times in the last decades. And I started as a studio artist, and then I became an arts administrator in the Harold Washington administration. Then I started my own art advisory business. Then I took up writing, and then I took up swimming. I have been a swimmer all my life. My mother and her siblings and her father actually created the first the first competitive swimming program at Howard High School in Wilmington, Delaware. And so my aunt and uncle and mother were all terrific swimmers, fearless swimmers and divers. And my father was a swimmer, and he actually swam at the Baltimore YMCA with Thurgood Marshall.
What?
And when Thurgood Marshall was dealing with I'm calling a blank.
Brown Board.
Yeah, Brown versus Board of Education. He used swimming pools, segregated swimming pools, as part of the argument about it. And so it's very ironic that we're talking about this today still. The fact that so many people don't have access to pools. And I remember the first competition I competed in was in New Mexico in 2019, and the competition was held at a free public facility that had an Olympic-sized pool, a children's pool, an indoor pool, an outdoor pool. And I looked up and saw the price of admission. It was like $5. And I got angry because I know that these kinds of facilities do not exist in Black communities. They just don't. And so just to see the privilege that so many white people have, who have access to facilities at a bargain price, and don't even mention, private clubs and country clubs. So don't get me started.
No, this is where you get started, because this is the Chicken Box. But before you get started, Lucina, I understand your schedule is very demanding. Our award-winning producer, director, and writer, and I'm glad Madeline is going to pick up the ball right where you left off. We are praying for the consideration of this film, but if not, I give it a million thumbs up. And the Black community definitely thanks you for documenting this wonderful journey of Anne and Madeline, and I think it will inspire others who maybe have retired, maybe have uh, decided that it's not much for them to do when it's so much for them
So
to
much.
do every day besides just be in the house. Okay, so let's get out and do things because we are still alive. So let's not act
Let me
like
just say before Lucina leaves that
okay.
when Anne and I agreed to do this film, we didn't know Lucina, and we just were like, did it almost, it was almost on a lark, okay? And but what happened immediately was that we trusted Lucina, we trusted her cinematographer, her producer, all the people, and we totally gave ourselves up and entrusted this movie to this amazing woman, and
Oh,
she didn't disappoint. And so I constantly tell her that she's a brilliant storyteller and just such a talent, and I feel privileged to be in this film under her leadership.
oh, thank you. Thank you, Madeline. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, Impeccable and Courtney, for having us today. And I know Madeline is just going to inspire everyone because she constantly inspires me to reach my highest heights and reinvent myself um, and just live with joy, so much joy. And happy holidays to everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays. The
And you're
chicken
great.
box is here for you whenever. Absolutely. Guys, we were talking about black people versus swimming, and Madeline, you said don't get started, but that's what the chicken box is all about. It's not just four wings and fries like in Baltimore, but it is where you stand on the box and you speak your truth about whatever it is that we're discussing, or whatever it is on your heart and mind that you just want to share and just get out there that possibly could inspire somebody. And one of the great things you said just now is that you just trusted Lucina and you let it go. And in this day of digital cameras and you taking pictures of yourself, everybody tries to edit their life. Have you noticed? Oh, I don't like that picture. I don't like this angle. Oh, shoot me from here. Turn around from here. And that's the pic. You send that best picture. Back in the day, they took the picture and that was the picture.
Right.
You weren't sure what it was going to look like until it was developed, right? And a lot of people don't want to be developed. They don't want to take the time to develop. But what was it like when what do you mean when you said you let yourself go?
Well, this film, I think, is pretty obvious, was not scripted. It was just a natural storytelling, and but the fact is that you've got cameramen, from above, from the side, underwater, and you have these moments where you said, "Oh my God, I wish I'd lost 10 pounds before this film started." But anyway, you just go with it because it's we are just being authentic, and the way they approached this story was just almost like eavesdropping,
Mm,
and so we were told we were unconscious of the camera. We were so comfortable with everybody, and Eric, who was the cinematographer, I did say to him, I said, please don't shoot me from a certain angle. Please don't. And Anne said the same thing. And he said, I promise you that my goal is to make you heroic and powerful. And I respect that, and I think he did, and so so it made me have a great appreciation for filmmaking because it is really a trusting. You need to trust the people that are shooting you because they can mess up with the lighting or they can do a bad angle. But these people, all of them, cared about Anne and me. And then the most brilliant was Lucina, who had this story, and we shot hours of film. And the funny thing was, Anne and I were, it was like 4 weeks before we were going to the National Senior Games in Fort Lauderdale in May of 2022. A month before, I got married after being a widow for 17 years. And so one day I get a phone call, and Derek, who connected all of us, Derek Milligan. I don't know if you've talked about Derek yet.
No.
Derek is the coach of and the founder of Team Dream, and his belief is in empowering Black women to be strong and athletic and to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And so Derek had told us about Lucina, who was a friend of his, and he talked about her for years and how he had told her about me and Anne. And so he said, and she's a documentarian, and she wants to do a film about you. And so Anne and I were like, yeah. Why would anybody want to do a film about us? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. And so a year went by, and he said, well, she submitted it to something and it didn't pan out, but she's still at it. And Anne and I are going on about our lives, and, you know. And then the next thing you know, about the first week, I don't know, in May, Derek calls and says, can you be available for the shooting this week? I'm saying, what shooting? Don't you remember I told you that Lucina, who's Lucina? He said, Madeline, I've been talking about her for 2 years. I said, yeah, but I didn't really pay attention. Well, that's how it started. And then I told my husband, he said, what? You're in a film? You never told me about a film. I said, I just found out. It was crazy.
So you came home, your husband's like, say what? I mean, have you ever been in a film before, Madeline?
I have been, no, not a documentary, but I've been interviewed a lot, so, I mean, it's easy for me in front of a camera, but this is a whole different story, because I've been training for almost 2 years for this competition, because it was delayed a year. And so
the World Senior Games, is that the name?
The National Senior Games is an organization that is open to anyone from the age of 50 to 100. We swam with a woman who was 101.
What?
And there are 25 categories, sports categories, in which you can participate, and you are grouped among your age group, like within about 6 years. And so you have to qualify to compete in the National Senior Games by receiving a gold or silver or bronze medal at a regional competition. And so I qualified. I now have about 25 gold and silver medals.
Oh, you're not just out there swimming, you out there winning, huh?
But I got news for you. The National Senior Games is a whole nother story. I mean, the best of the best come to that competition. And most are seasoned swimmers, women who swim every day, who swam from the time they could walk, who had access to, all kinds of facilities. And here I am thinking, I started really seriously swimming when I was about 62. And here I am thinking, I'm going to go to this National Senior Games and kick butt. I got mine kicked. It was very humbling.
Absolutely. If you just tuned in, guys, this is the Chicken Box Black People versus Swimming. We have special guest Madeline Murphy Rabb, who is on the line just completing a documentary, Team Dream, where she competes in the national, her and her good friend Ann, the National Senior Games, and she just said she has about 25 medals. Courtney, who's also in Chicago, come on, jump in, Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
Hello. So I'm curious, what was the training process like? Can you walk us through that journey? Was it a lot of conditioning? Did you have to wake up at certain hours?
Well, you know what? Let me just be clear. The National Senior Games was not the biggest aspiration of my life. Okay. It was among the many things that I do. And swimming is among the many things I do. I'm not obsessed, but I swim at least 3 times a week. I train with Derek twice a week. When I was preparing for the competition, I trained with him. And so about 6 weeks, no, about the first time around, I went to a like this fierce workout thing where you're doing weights and you're gaining muscle and you're eating differently. And I mean, and I was up at 5:30 in the morning, and I'd go to these horrendous classes where I was the oldest person for miles around, competing in weights and all kinds of stuff. And I lost weight. I was in the best physical shape of my life. That was the first go around. The second go around, I wasn't as obsessed because I'd fallen in love and I was playing and I was having fun and I got married. And so I wasn't as strong as I was the previous year, the previous competition. So I put this thing in perspective. It's fun. I'm doing it to compete mainly against myself and to push myself and to see what's going to happen, And then when I get there, I say, damn, I should have worked harder.
You say you in love.
Yes.
And love makes you weak.
Yeah, and I was
said she was weaker.
Yeah, I was eating and I was having fun and but and my husband did not. I told him he could not come to the National Senior Games this past year because I had been working on this. It was a buddy trip with Ann and me. We'd planned it for 2 years. I didn't need any distractions, and he was a little miffed, but then he said, okay, I understand. So this time, this fall, I had to compete for next year's National Senior Games. And he said, I am going to the qualifying games because I'm going to see you compete in regional games, and I'm going with you to the National Senior Games next July. So we drove to Milwaukee. I competed. I got some medals, but my husband is on me every morning. Are you going to swim? Are you going to swim? If you did this, you could get faster and blah, blah, blah. So I have created a monster. So who knows? I may get a medal next year.
May get a medal. So let's take it back. This is Black People versus Women. If you haven't tuned in, powered by the Afro-American newspaper. Yes, Baltimore, Maryland's oldest Black business, celebrating 130 years, and the third oldest Black business in the country. And they are proud of it. Go to afro.com, get a subscription. It helps young journalists, young filmmakers, young editors, writers. It helps us keep telling our story unapologetically. We're not owned by anybody. We don't have to put our foot in our mouth. We never have to worry about if we say it, we're going to get a repercussion. No, because we are inspiring, informing, and educating our community for over 130 years. So let's jump back. Madeline is from Baltimore, now residing in Chicago. Growing up, we heard that a lot of people didn't have access to pools, beaches, and they weren't, because of the quote unquote segregation and the things that they try to keep us away from their pools all of a sudden. How was it growing up in Baltimore?
Well, I grew up in Cherry Hill, and we had a public pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my mother was instrumental in making that happen because my mother was a leader in that community, a community organizer. And she wrote a column for the Baltimore Afro-American newspaper for 25 years.
All right.
And so my brother Billy and I would walk every day to Cherry Hill Public Pool every single day for the entire summer. And I learned to swim. Well, my parents had taught me to swim, but then I swam and I got a little coaching from some of the lifeguards at the Cherry Hill Public Pool. And so by the end of the summer, I probably inhaled more chlorine and urine from that dirty pool because it wasn't a beautiful, pristine, well-kept pool. There were no shade trees. It was bare bones, unlike many of the public pools in Baltimore that had shade trees and grass and all that kind of good stuff. But I didn't know any better. I loved the pool. So that's where I spent a lot of.
Parents, if you can't swim, you and your kids get to the pool, because once they fall in love with the pool, you will not be able to keep them away. I mean, they will stay in that pool until
Until their skin wrinkles.
to their hands and their feet
Mhm.
up, and they're gonna be hungry. So you better have some
That's
food.
right. The other thing that we have to remember, and as Anne told in one of her interviews, that swimming is the only sport that can save your life.
Let's think
And
about that for a minute.
think about it. Think about it. So swimming is not just for fun. Swimming can save your life. And unfortunately, there are more drownings among children, and Black children in particular, than any other sport, as it were.
Absolutely.
Well, you can't drown in any other sport, but I mean,
Now,
no deaths.
now my daughter, as a summer job, became a lifeguard.
Oh, really?
So this was years ago. But swimming can save your life. But just you learning how to swim around a non-swimmer, you could lose your life trying to save somebody else's life, unless you have been trained on how to save a person who can't swim.
Yes, I was a lifeguard.
Because a person who can't swim, they are fighting against gravity and against law, and so they're grabbing
That's
on
true.
anything to try to get some kind of leverage, and could possibly, it's been people who could swim who have drowned because of a non-swimmer
Exactly.
trying to make it
Yeah.
just to safety. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If just because you can swim, don't mean you can save somebody, even though you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot to think about, but it's fun. I mean, but for those who have never done it, because Courtney said you started at 19. So before 19, what was your access to swimming?
Oh, I didn't get in the pool. Or if I did, I stayed in like 3 feet and I never sat down. I'd always stood up and I would just kind of stand around. But I remember one time I accidentally slipped and I was freaking out. I almost had an anxiety attack because I didn't know what to do. So I was panicking. And then some way, when I got up, I didn't go in a pool for years because I was terrified.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So you fell down, and it felt hard to just, and you could stand up because you were in 3 feet, right?
Yeah, but
Right.
my mind just went into oh no, I'm going to drown. So I just I froze up. But when I finally got back up, I was like, yeah, I'm not going back in the pool. And it took me I started going to the gym that had a pool, and I realized I'm old enough. I need to learn how to do this. So I had a friend teach me, and it was kind of embarrassing because I was 19, freaking out in a 3 feet section, and yeah, it was really embarrassing.
And it shouldn't be. And I think people at a certain age begin to feel, oh, I'm too old and I'm too self-conscious, and I don't like the way my body looks. I haven't been in a bathing suit, and oh my, any kind of story that can happen goes through your head. But the one thing I know about swimming is there has never been a time that I was in the water swimming, and when I got out, I wasn't happy and I wasn't glad I did it. It is the most seductive and wonderful and zen experience once you learn how to swim. And I can swim a long time. I have a lot of endurance. I can swim laps and laps and laps. And I think, I dream, I just give myself up to being held by the water. It is just a marvelous, marvelous thing. And I think it helps with stress. and it's the most quiet time. It's just wonderful silence. I don't listen to music. I just let my body do what it does in the water. I love how I feel.
I just floated away. I don't know if anybody else floated away when you just described it, Madeline. It did. I think I'm inspired to my whole family. We have a YMCA membership. They
Mhm.
go. I don't go.
Mhm.
But I think the pool may be calling me, and I can swim. I've been swimming since 5 years old. So
Mhm.
at the YMCA, but I think it may be. I like the serenity of it that you just said, and the peacefulness, as well as it's a great way to get your total body in shape
Mhm.
without
Mhm.
stress on your joints.
Yes.
I mean, my wife they have water aerobics. She loves to do it with the seniors. She's not even to the senior.
Don't say seniors.
All right, well, she says it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's the new word that
Okay,
should?
I'm going to tell you. You're not old. You're just post young.
Okay,
No, mature, seasoned, anything but senior
all
citizen.
right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. For 2023, we will lose the word senior. Put a line through it, scratch it, delete it. If you're that seasoned, put white out on it. But whatever you have to do to take
Right.
that S word
Oh,
out of
yeah,
your vocabulary.
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you because back in the day, they used to live to 150, 200. You hear about these characters in the Bible, these people in the Bible, and it's like, wow, they really lived a long time.
Yeah.
They didn't have these preservatives and all these other things in the food and these toxins and everything. They were naturally just healthy.
Well, if you look at photographs before McDonald's and after McDonald's of people's bodies and fast food, before fast food and post fast food, you can see it on the frames of people. It causes you to gain weight because it's so delicious.
Madeline, we're gonna have to have you.
Unhealthy.
We'll invite you back as a monthly correspondent because I'm thinking. Listen, I was thinking about McDonald's all of a sudden. I was thinking about swimming a second ago.
And now I put you into
Now number 4 is on my mind. Anyway, you guys. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Swimming. We're wrapping it up. It is a wonderful document. Where can we watch Team Dream, Madeline?
Well, right now it's making the rounds of film festivals. And so if you go on Facebook and go to Team Dream, it will post cities and locations where it may be uh, being seen. But we hope that next year it will be streaming on
Okay.
BET or other channels. And then when we win the Academy Award for Best Documentary at the Academy Awards, then you'll be able to see it all the time.
All right, because I keep hearing it, and if you want to just see a snippet, go to afro.com and look for the story about Team Dream. Just put in the search Team Dream, and you will be able to at least find a snippet of these wonderful, seasoned, mature,
Thank you.
beautiful
You're doing
women
it. You're doing it. You're
who
doing it.
have let go. So you understand what a reality show feels like now, to have
Yeah.
all of those cameras around you, and you
Mhm.
have to all of a sudden. At first, it's awkward, but then it's kind of like, hey, this is just my new family. Hey guys, hey Jeff, hey, we're miking you up for sound, blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
you just go with
Relax.
it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get on the chicken box right now. This is where you speak your truth, and we're just gonna go around and speak our truth about Black people versus swimming. Courtney, I'm gonna put you on the box first, and I'll save Madeline for last. You are now on the box. Anything about swimming that you want to share?
Sure thing. Madeline, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like your story is very inspirational. Like, it teaches people that, it's never too late to follow your dreams, do what you're passionate about, and enjoy it instead of it feeling like a chore. Like, you can just get into the pool and like let go and like unwind. So that is amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for that. And you also mentioned like you are a lifeguard or you were a lifeguard, I think people should definitely look into that, and like CPR training. I feel like that's important as well. You can know how to save someone, but learning CPR can definitely save a life. So yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney, for being on the box representing our Gen Z. You know, I represent the Gen X, Dr. Draper, who's not on today because she had another commitment. We miss you. In case you missed it, I know you can swim too as well. But I'm going to get on the box about swimming. Look, if you have never been in the water, go with an open mind. Take a lesson. Matter of fact, you know, because sometimes, or take a friend. It feels really like a big step by yourself. But if you could find another friend who's willing to go to lessons with you, it'll be a wonderful experience. And it'll be the only sport that we learned today that could save your life. And parents, don't be lazy. Get your kids in swimming, even if you still haven't made up your mind, because they don't know about a fear until you instill it in them. They don't know that the fear exists. So you want them to be able to learn. The younger that they learn, the better they'll be, I think, in the future. But it's never too late, even at mature and seasoned level, that you can learn how to swim. So thank you again, Madeline. It is always a pleasure hanging out with you here on the Chicken Box by the Afro. And you're now officially on the box.
Oh my goodness, what do I want to leave? What message? I want to leave the message that it's never too late to try something new, and particularly something that you have a little fear about. And one of the things that I realize about myself is that I run headfirst toward my fears because I'm competitive. And it's like, I can do this. I'm going to show you. And I'm basically showing me. And it inspires me to do a lot of things. And I've been rewarded for taking those risks. And the payoff and the satisfaction are beyond belief. And in particular with swimming, when we debuted our film at the Martha's Vineyard Film Festival, the Black Film Festival, the day after the festival, Ann and I were walking around, and we were so excited by people who ran up to us and said that we had inspired them. And if nothing, and my husband said to me, well, what are you going to get out of this film? They're not paying you, blah, blah, blah. I said, you know what? The only thing I want this film to do is to inspire. Because Anne, who is about 4 years, I don't know, I can't add, older than I, is my inspiration. Because she's fearless and she scuba dives and she's just amazing at 83 years of age. And so she doesn't have any sense of her age, and neither do I. And so age is just a number. So get off your butt and do something that you've always were a little afraid of doing, and you decide, I'm going to just do it.
Boom. Hey, run towards your fears, people. The new year has started. You don't have to wait till January 1. It can start today. December the 15th. The new year starts any day that you make your mind up to do something different and run towards your fear. So this has been a wonderful edition of the Chicken Box, Black People versus Swimming, powered by the 130-year-old Afro-American newspaper. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And if you're running out of gift ideas, give a subscription. Matter of fact, we have a cookbook of all of the family's different recipes. For every subscription, you'll get the $30 cookbook for $10. So if you're running out of gift ideas, go to afro.com and support a Black business that always loves and supports you. Until next week, God willing, if you haven't smiled today, smile and call. I used to say call a senior, but I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm not going to say that anymore. Call somebody in your family who's mature and seasoned. because they love to hear from you, because a lot of people are not like Madeline. They're just sitting around waiting for life to happen instead of making life happen. So have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Thank you for
I'm
having
glad
me.
you got on. Tell your wonderful husband we said hello. Have a
I
great day.
will.
All right.
Thanks.